Hey guys, it's me, Seren, back with another video. I'm filming out here in my living room. The sole reason why I'm out here is because I was already on my computer out here and I didn't feel like taking it back into the back to film. So you guys are gonna have a little bit of a different background today for this hidden figure. This is our 14th hidden figure, Johnnie Lacy, who is a Black disability rights activist integral to the independent living movement. Through her activism, she brought to light the intersectionality of race and disability and worked to tackle ableism in the Black community and racism in the largely white-dominated disability community. Lacy was born in 1937 in Huttig, Arkansas. Educated in segregated elementary schools in Louisiana, when she was 10, her family relocated to Mcloud, California. In California, she attended integrated schools for the first time, but continued to feel the effects of informal segregation, stating many people brought their prejudices with them out west. And there will actually be quite a few quotes throughout this, and I'll explain why closer to the end. So she said, during the time when blacks were being recruited from the South, white managers were also being recruited from the South, and their lifestyle was the style of segregation, and the Black lifestyle was also a style of segregation. So basically, segregation was transplanted from Louisiana and Texas with the workers and the managers who came to Mcloud. And this is something I learned much, much later on. Lacy was diagnosed with polio at the age of 19 while working on her nursing practical at San Francisco General Hospital in 1956. Her first symptoms were severe headaches and then blurred vision, which made her think she needed glasses. A local physician tested her and diagnosed her with polio. She said about her diagnosis, "I was in denial. I still thought that it was my eyes and that I had a headache because my eyes needed examining. So when I was finally seen by a doctor to do the spinal tap, which they said it didn't hurt, but it was really painful, and they sent the spinal fluid to the lab, this is when I found out that I really did have polio. My recollection was that they wanted me to stay in isolation overnight or for a few days so they could observe me, so I was put in isolation. Even though I was weak, I'd say for 2 or 3 days I would get up and go to the bathroom and everything, until the last day that I walked. I can remember getting out of bed, going in the bathroom very painfully and all that, came back to get in the bed, and I couldn't quite make it, and I was struggling to get in the bed, and someone peeped through the window and saw me and said, 'You're not supposed to get up. Don't get out of bed again.' And so I gradually became totally paralyzed. Initially, I was not able to do anything, not even breathe. I was placed in an iron lung. At Fairmount Hospital, Johnnie was in the iron lung for 2 weeks. She switched to a chest respirator and rehabbed for 2 to 3 years before regaining her strength. However, she remained paralyzed, needing a wheelchair for the rest of her life. After rehab, Lacy went back to San Francisco State University in 1958. Studying speech pathology, she faced blatant ableism and discrimination from the head of the department, who attempted to block her from attending, saying there was no way she would ever be able to become a speech therapist because of her disability. When I approached, I did very well in all my special ed classes, and the director of special ed, I had taken a class from him and had done well in that class, and he knew that I wanted to major in speech therapy, and he started a campaign to discourage me, she said. Because he said that the conditions for people in wheelchairs were not good, that a disabled person with my severe disability would not be able to drive, which I hadn't learned to drive at that time. They would be expected to go to the dark corners of schools and buildings that had stairs. There would be no accommodation, and he couldn't see any way in which I would be able to successfully become a speech therapist. When I insisted, in order to convince me, he called together an urban panel of experts in the special education field, and they were a blue ribbon panel, supposedly to examine my potential as a possible speech therapist. What it turned out to be was a panel who was not examining me, what my potential was, but to discourage me from applying to the school. After I met with this panel, they all agreed that I could not do this. I insisted that I could, and the head of the department by this time said, "If you apply, I will not accept you." Excuse me. And the only other alternative you have is that you can take graduate courses on your own and work on your own, but you will not become a part of the department. Lacy was admitted to the department despite being told up front she would not become a speech therapist, and chose to attend school anyway, completing her degree and graduating. Even though she excelled in her schoolwork, she was not allowed to participate in graduation ceremonies due to her disability. After graduating, she helped found the Berkeley Center for Independent Living in 1981. From 1981 to 1994, she served as the director of the Community Resources for Independent Living, a nonprofit in Hayward, California that provides advocacy, mentoring, and other services for people with disabilities. Lacy also served on the California Attorney General's Commission on Disability, Hayward's Commission on Personnel and Affirmative Action, and the Mayor's Disability Council for the City and County of San Francisco. Johnnie Lacy died in 2010 at the age of 73. In 1998, Lacy recorded several interviews on her life for UC Berkeley's Oral History Archive. And that's why there are so many quotes of her talking about her own story in her own words. And of course, I will include links to the UC Berkeley Oral History Archive in the description box. As a Black woman in a wheelchair, she sought to educate communities about race and disability, opening up the door for groundbreaking conversations. She often spoke of feeling unwelcome in the disability movement due to her Blackness, and unwelcome in the Black Power movement due to her disability. I never really felt completely part of a movement, mainly because I was very much aware that I was not particularly acknowledged as an African American with a disability who had ideas, who could contribute, and all of those things. In other words, I could be one or the other, but not both. So she could either be disabled or Black, but not both. And that is Johnnie Lacy, a hidden figure. I also want to say that the photograph of Johnnie used as the thumbnail is from the collection of Kenneth Stein, who is a New York native photographer that's really well known for a lot of his New York street photography. There are not very many photographs of her, so I just wanted to, let you guys know that that was from Kenneth Stein. And yeah, that's Johnnie Lacy, a hidden figure. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. There will be lots of links and information in the description box, including the oral history that I highly recommend you guys check out. Food for thought as always. See you guys next time with our next hidden figure. Peace.